He made grown men cry over metal and paint. His hands shaped machines into emotion, turning forgotten rust into rolling art. For years, Chip Foose was the quiet genius behind the loudest cars on television. Every episode of Overhaulin ended with applause, hugs, tears, and one man standing silently in the middle of it all, smiling like it was nothing. But then, he vanished. No dramatic exit, no scandal, no final farewell. Just one day, he was gone. From television, from social media, from public life. And the world that once celebrated his every design was left with nothing but silence. The question no one ever got an answer to is the one we're asking now. Why would someone so respected, so beloved, walk away from everything he built? Because what the cameras never showed was the weight he carried the whole time. Before the fame, before the awards, before the burnout, Chip Foose was just a quiet kid in a loud garage. Born in Santa Barbara in 1963, he didn't grow up with cartoons and soccer practice. He grew up with wrenches, fumes, and the sound of metal being reborn. His father, Sam Foose, was a custom car builder whose projects served Hollywood and the U.S. government. And Chip, he was right there in the shop, watching. By the time most kids were learning to ride a bike, Chip was learning how to paint one. At just 7 years old, he was doing basic tasks in his dad's shop for 17 cents an hour. At 12, he painted his first full car, a Porsche 356. No training, no shortcuts, just quiet focus and a strange, almost unnatural talent. They called him Chipper, a nickname his mother gave him, not for his attitude, but for how fast and precise he was. He was the kind of kid who didn't need to be told twice. He just watched and knew. But not everything in Chip's childhood could be fixed with a paint job. His youngest sister, Amy, was born with progeria, a rare disorder that aged her body far faster than it should have. She passed away at 16. Chip rarely spoke about it. He never made a public statement, never used it for sympathy. But in private, he donated quietly to the Progeria Research Foundation for years. And in some of his later designs, subtle patterns began to emerge. Cars that seemed like tributes no one else could decode. He wasn't just building machines, he was preserving memories. But as Chip's skills grew, so did the question, could passion alone survive the pressure of real life? By the time he finished high school, Chip Foose had already spent more time in a workshop than a classroom. His dream was clear, and so was the next step, the legendary Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, home to some of the greatest automotive minds in history. Getting in was tough. Staying in was even tougher. At first, Chip thrived. He studied transportation design, refined his skills, and absorbed everything like a machine built to create. But dreams come with a price, and his was $5,000 more than he could afford. 2 years in, the money ran out. Just like that, the doors closed. For the next few years, he lived in the background. Not rock bottom, just stuck. No degree, no full-time job, no real direction. He sketched freelance for car magazines, took on small-time restoration gigs, and went back to his dad's shop to make ends meet. It wasn't glamorous. No major brand wanted him. No one saw the talent he had. For someone born into the world of custom cars, he was now on the outside of it. But behind every comeback is someone who doesn't quit on you. In Chip's case, that person was Lynn, his girlfriend, and later his wife. She believed in him when he didn't. With her support, both emotional and financial, Chip re-enrolled at Art Center. This time, he wasn't just a talented student. He was on a mission. He graduated with honors in 1990. That diploma didn't just open doors, it shattered them. Chip was back. But life had a way of reminding him. Not every challenge comes from the outside, because the next test waiting for him, Joe, wasn't a car. It was a man. Fresh out of school in 1990, Chip Foose wasn't just looking for a job, he was chasing a legacy. He found it at Hot Rods by Boyd, a shop run by Boyd Coddington, already a legend in the custom car world. Chip started part-time, but it didn't take long before his talent took over. By 1993, he was running the entire design department. Soon after, he became president. Together, they created the cars that would define an era. The Boydster, Boydster II, the Sportstar. Chip was the ghost in the machine. His hands were on everything, even if his name wasn't. The world called it the Boyd look. But if you knew where to look, you saw Chip in every curve, every detail. Then came 1997. Chip became the youngest person ever inducted into the Hot Rod Hall of Fame. But just as his reputation was peaking, the company behind it all was falling apart. Hot Rods by Boyd was in financial freefall. Contracts dried up. Salaries stopped coming. Employees were being paid late or not at all. And Chip, he was showing up every day with a pregnant wife at home and just $700 left in the bank. There was no rescue plan, no backup investor. So Chip made the hardest decision of his life. He walked away. He founded Foose Design in Huntington Beach, starting over with nothing but his own skill, a rented workshop, and a few trusted friends. Some of Boyd's former team followed him, seeking stability, but not everyone saw it as survival. Some saw it as betrayal. Boyd never spoke publicly about the fallout. Neither did Chip. No angry interviews, no back and forth, just silence. For almost a decade, the two men, once mentor and protege, refused to even mention each other's names. When Boyd passed away in 2008, Chip didn't post a tribute. He didn't attend the funeral. No press statement, no final words. The rivalry ended the way it lived, quietly. But as Chip closed the door on one chapter, a much louder one was about to begin. The cameras were about to roll, and the world was watching. By 2004, Chip Foose wasn't just respected. He was revered in the custom car scene. But the rest of the world didn't know his name. Not yet. That changed overnight with one word: Overhaulin. The concept was irresistible. Surprise someone with full car restoration in just 7 days, turn rust into art, paint into genuine, and do it all on national television. Chip was the face of it, the hands, the heart. While others played their parts, he was the one who brought the cars to life. But behind the smiles and the slow-motion reveals was something the cameras never showed: sleep deprivation, malnutrition, collapse. During season 3 alone, Chip and his team completed 29 full restorations in just 9 months. That's one every 9 days. No reshoots, no second chances. Chip once said he stayed awake 6 straight days just to hit a deadline. In another stretch, he lost 27 kilograms, not from dieting, but from exhaustion and total burnout. He wasn't just designing. He was managing builds, leading a team, and filming nonstop. Every word, every reaction, every smile was caught on camera. There were no retakes, no do-overs, just relentless pressure. And it didn't stop when the engine roared. Each episode needed an emotional climax, a heart-tugging handoff scene where a deserving car owner would break into tears and Chip would deliver the final words. But as the seasons rolled on, the real tears became harder to summon. How many times can you cry for someone else when your own tank is empty? And while the audience cheered, his personal life dimmed. He missed birthdays, canceled vacations, skipped out on time with his wife and kids. Even his company, Foose Design, slowed down to accommodate the show's shooting schedule. Chip had become the engine of the show, and like any engine pushed too far, he started to crack. By 2008, Overhaulin was quietly paused, no official reason given. But insiders knew the entire team was exhausted. And Chip, most of all. The show returned in 2012 and again in 2019, but something had changed. Chip pulled back from the spotlight. He delegated more, avoided post-production and press tours. He was still there, but not the same. From 2004 to 2020, he completed nearly 170 builds under impossible deadlines, all while performing emotion, perfection, and grace for a national audience. On the outside, legendary. On the inside, running on fumes. But just as the cameras began to dim, something darker arrived, and this time it had nothing to do with work ethic. For years, Chip Foose had built a reputation as the guy who stayed clean. No drama, no lawsuits, no ego, just cars, craftsmanship, and humility. But in 2005, that image was tested, not because of what he did, but because of who he trusted. That year, Chip partnered with a Texas-based company called Unique Performance. The idea sounded bulletproof. Take classic muscle cars and give them the full Foose treatment. Limited run, high-end dream builds with Chip as the designer. He didn't manage production. He didn't handle contracts. His job was to sketch, design, and bring prestige. But what he didn't know, what no one knew at first, was that behind the scenes, Unique Performance was falling apart. By mid-2006, the complaints started. Late deliveries, missing parts, sketchy contracts, angry customers, and then the big one, a criminal investigation launched by the Texas state government. Authorities accused Unique of recycling used parts, taking deposits without delivering vehicles, and misrepresenting the value of their products. Chip wasn't listed as an owner or executive, but his name was on the ads. His designs were on the cars. And suddenly, that spotless reputation, under fire. Lawsuits piled up. Some listed him as a witness, others as a person of interest. Industry blogs and forums lit up with phrases like moral co-responsibility. The media didn't care that he had no legal control, only that his name had sold the dream. Chip didn't go on TV to defend himself. He didn't hold a press conference. In classic Foose fashion, he stayed silent. Only his reps confirmed what had already happened behind the scenes. Once he discovered the procedural violations, he walked away. Immediately. But walking away didn't come cheap. Chip personally paid every cent of his legal costs to separate his name from the scandal. Money earned during the peak of Overhaulin went straight into legal defense. Sponsorships were paused, invitations withdrawn. A few brands even canceled Chip's appearances at events, just in case. For the first time in his career, Chip Foose wasn't being praised. He was being questioned. And when the storm came, he did what he always did. He vanished into the work. No interviews, no blame, no headlines. Just a quiet retreat into the one place he could still control, his garage. But silence doesn't stop speculation. And soon it wasn't just his name under scrutiny, it was his private life, too. Controversy fades. Scandals pass. But something in Chip Foose didn't bounce back. After the unique performance fallout, he didn't just keep a low profile, he started vanishing altogether. First, the social media disappeared. His Facebook and Instagram account stopped posting, then went private. Interviews were declined. Photographers were asked not to shoot at events. Panel appearances were quietly canceled, sometimes without explanation. The man who once restored broken-down classics in just 7 days now couldn't even be convinced to say a few words on stage. Then came the rumors. Tabloids whispered about a rift with his wife, Lynn. Were they still together? Some claimed they had separated, though public photos still showed them side by side at select events. Chip never commented, neither did Lynn, and in that silence, the speculation only grew louder. Journalists tried, fans begged, former colleagues were asked to speak. No one did. And those who knew him best said the same thing. He just doesn't want to be seen anymore. By 2021, Chip had effectively pulled the plug on public life. He stopped attending major shows. He stopped posting. He stopped explaining. And for the first time since Overhaulin launched in 2004, there was nothing new. No YouTube uploads, no press releases, no upcoming builds. Even Foose design itself transformed. What had once been a thriving business full of buzz and custom commissions became a ghost shop, closed to the public. No open hiring, no promotion. The doors were still open, but no one was allowed in. And just like that, a man who had once designed cars for the world disappeared from it. Not out of scandal, not because of failure, but because, as he once said in a rare 2024 interview, "I don't think I need to repeat anything anymore." But as his public presence faded, whispers began to grow. Was something deeper going on? By 2022, Chip Foose had become a legend that no one could find. Foose Design was still technically in business, but it wasn't the powerhouse it once was. There were no flashy builds announced, no teaser trailers, no behind-the-scenes reveals. Projects were accepted on a whisper-only basis, through private networks. No press coverage, no delivery videos, no bragging rights. Everything was off the record. By design, the team, smaller than ever. No job postings, no new hires, no apprentices. Those who worked with him had one rule: don't post, don't film, don't share. Some sources said that even photos inside the shop were banned. The builds were real, the talent was intact, but the man at the center, he had become a ghost, seen only by a few, heard by almost no one. Occasionally he'd show up at industry events like the Grand National Roadster Show or Moto X, but never as a speaker. He declined panels, dodged interviews. He didn't even sign autographs for most attendees. He'd arrive, quietly observe, and leave unnoticed. His YouTube channel hasn't posted a single video in over 3 years. His personal website? Still live, but frozen in time. The latest projects section now shows mostly archival photos, snapshots from before 2020. Any recent work he's done isn't for public eyes. And maybe that's the point. Despite dozens of offers, Chip has refused to write a memoir, turned down podcast interviews, declined multi-year contracts for TV reboots. He's rejected documentary crews and book publishers alike. One former collaborator summed it up simply: he doesn't want to tell the story, he just wants to finish it quietly. Some say he's mentoring his son in private. A few leaked images show them working together on low-profile projects, but there's no indication that the Foose legacy is being prepared for a public return. If anything, the opposite is true. Even as his name continues to appear in award listings, Builder of the Decade, SEMA Hall of Fame, industry rankings, he doesn't show up to accept them. No speeches, no thank yous, not even a representative. The silence speaks louder than anything he ever said on camera. And just like that, the man who once brought metal to life became a legend too quiet to chase, too complete to return. Though the world stopped seeing Chip Foose, he never really stopped working. Just differently. Foose design still exists, it still builds, but not for the public eye. Projects are now accepted by invitation only. No photos, no videos, no announcements, no product launches. Every commission is personal, quiet, and deliberately unmarketed. Chip oversees each one himself, but not for fans, not for fame, for the build. His team is small, mostly longtime associates and close contacts. No interns, no mass hiring, no viral TikToks from the shop floor. If you search online for recent work, you'll find nothing. Just archival images and behind-the-scenes content from before 2020. The YouTube channel hasn't posted in 3 years. The website hasn't been updated. His inbox doesn't send newsletters. There's no merch, no rebrand, no comeback. Occasionally, he's spotted at events like the Grand National Roadster Show, but as a guest, not a headliner. He avoids cameras, declines panels, politely refuses interviews. He'll sign something if asked, but rarely looks comfortable doing so. And behind those locked doors in Huntington Beach, he's still teaching. Not a class, not a course, just his son. Quiet moments in the same kind of garage where it all started. Publishers have begged him to write a memoir. Networks pitched documentaries, retrospectives, podcasts, even tribute specials. Every offer? Declined. There won't be a final season. There won't be a behind-the-scenes tell-all. Chip Foose chose silence, and those who once shaped the narrative around him stopped trying to guess why. Because maybe it was never about stepping back from cars, just stepping away from everything else. In the end, Chip Foose didn't leave the spotlight in shame. He left it because it had already taken everything he had, his energy, his time, his privacy, his peace. He wasn't broken. He wasn't bitter. He was simply done. He had given people hundreds of restored cars, thousands of tearful moments, and decades of dedication. He didn't need a standing ovation to walk away. He didn't need to be trending on Instagram or trending on Netflix. What he needed, what he chose, was space. A man who never asked to be remembered somehow became unforgettable. A designer who built dreams, only to step back into one of his own making. So if you ever paused to watch a reveal on Overhaulin or saw someone cry as their past rolled back into their hands, you were part of something rare. And if this story changed the way you see fame, maybe hit like, leave a comment, or share your favorite Chip Foose moment, because some people never asked to be remembered, but they deserve to be.